Hello action figure fans, this is HammerTron here with a new action figure review for you. This time I am reviewing the Valaverse Action Force The Bone Collector. This is a reissue of the first version of the Bone Collector. This version was released in 2023. I bought this through an online store in 2023. It comes in a very nice window box where we can see the action figure and the accessories that it comes with. Very nice skull mask, nice gun, very nice looking packaging here. Here is the top. I like how the window goes over the edge here. There is the bottom with some manufacturing information. Here is one side, the Bone Collector SDS-06. This is Special Deployment Series and the 6th action figure in this series. On this side is the Action Force logo, and on the back a nice picture of the action figure, a little biography, and some points. So we can cut out the biography, but I'm not going to cut it out because I keep the package so I can store the action figure back in the package in case I move or in case I change my display. So I'll open this up and review the figure itself. Here is the Bone Collector. Let's see how tall this action figure is. According to the tape measure, about 6 1/4 inches tall, or about 16 centimeters tall. So it's a nicely sized action figure. Let's take a look at the action figure here. So he's bald. Nicely sculpted face there. Actually, we have some nice details on the ears. So a lot of work was put into the design of this action figure. Here's a, looks like a bomb disposal vest here. A little sheath for a knife there. Holster for a gun here. And some pouches that hold some ammunition clips for the machine gun. Nicely sculpted arms and legs. So it looks like he's wearing clothes, so lots of wrinkles sculpted into it. Nice details on the boots here. Looks like it's all nicely painted also. Lots of details on the bottom of the boots there. Peg holes in the heels. We still have details on the back. And a hole for a backpack. Lots of extra texture here. So it could be that this is intentional. I don't know if this is intentional or kind of a mistake, but maybe it is intentional. It's meant to show some wear and tear on it. So lots of nice details. But here are the ammunition clips, so we can plug that in here. That goes there. We have another one here. So it looks nice. And the handgun. The handgun goes into the holster, although it's a tight fit. Kind of hard to get it in there. I've only tried a couple times, but it's a tight fit. Maybe I could go a little bit more. No, it looks pretty good the way it is. So it's getting a little more loose each time I try it, so takes a little bit of effort to wiggle it out. So I'm going to want to, there we go. I'm going to keep this out for the articulation part. And here is the knife. Pretty long knife. So if we look at the sheath here, so that's about how long it is. So It is going to be sticking out. So if we're careful, we can maybe put it in here. Now the sheath was kind of warped in the package. It's warped in the package, so a little bit bent. So we can straighten it out as long as we're gentle. Now, the problem with the handle being out here is if we're articulating, if we're not careful, we'll push too hard and we might break something. So that is something to keep in mind when articulating it. So I will remove the knife. And the mask, probably the coolest part. So it does slide over the head. There we go. And it looks like the eyes line up correctly behind the eye hole, so it does fit very well. It's very nicely designed. And not too hard to take off either. So it looks like I don't see any problems with the paint so far. I wonder if something will get scratched over time, but we will see. Let's take a look at the articulation. So we can look up this much and look down that much. Turn side to side a little bit. And just a little bit of head tilting. We have butterfly joints. So that does work. It's working on both sides. Now it is being hindered a little bit by this plastic piece covering the body. With the shoulders, we can go up just that much. So not very high. We can go around. There we go. We have a bicep cut. So that is working. And that one is working. So very good. We have double jointed elbows. Looks like they are pinless. So I've had some trouble with the elbows. They're pretty stiff. So I've been using my fingers. Hopefully my fingers are warm enough to try to warm up the plastic while I jiggle the joints around. And then I'm bending carefully, trying to reduce the amount of leverage I have. I don't want anything to break, so I'm trying to use the least amount of leverage possible. And with the two joints, there we go. Much better than 90 degrees. Lots of nice articulation, so you can touch his head. Very impressive. So then I am carefully straightening out the joints because they are pretty stiff. And it is a pretty cold day. There we go. Now you might have heard a small snapping there. So there's some ratcheted joints. At the wrist, we can turn and turn. So that is working. And there should be some hinges, but I have not been able to get them to work. But the extra hands do have hinges, so I'm pretty sure these hands have hinges, but I just can't get them to work. So it's a little disappointing there. Now there's probably a diaphragm cut in here, but we can't really see it. So when we twist, I think it is turning at the diaphragm cut there. So there is something there. And I'm not sure that there's actually a waist twist. No, actually I think there is a waist twist. I'm turning at a waist twist here. Or maybe there's a ball joint in there. There's an extra little belt here that has a little loop. I'm not sure what that is for. At the hips, the Bone Collector can do some impressive splits. And you can kick forward very high and back just a little bit. Kick forward very high and back just a little bit. There's an upper thigh cut here. So that is working. And this one is working. And we have double jointed knees. These are pinless. So I have been able to get these to work, although they are incredibly stiff. And I did try using a hairdryer to heat these up a little bit. Now as we bend these, we want to make sure we don't have too much leverage, and also look out for the straps on these side pieces here. So we can get it to bend. I think I can get more. The upper knee joint is working there, the lower one. I could probably get more, but I'm not going to struggle too much here. So very, very tight. Very... Yeah, I think I could probably get a little bit more, but it's incredibly tight and it's a struggle. So I don't want to break anything. Now we want to watch out where we put our fingers. We don't want to break these things. So straighten them out. There we go. And then we have boot cut. So that is working. And that is working. Very good. And at the ankles, you can do that much. Not very much on this one. And we can go up. That much. And we do have ankle pivot. So I'm very happy where it looks like all of the joints are actually working. As long as we're very careful and we don't use too much leverage. Hopefully our fingertips are warm enough to keep it warm and pliable. Although I did use a hairdryer to see if that would make the knees any better. But now the second Action Force figure I have reviewed, this is the second one. The knees have been very stiff on both of them, so that's something to look out for. But it certainly looks cool. And this one actually had all of the joints actually working, so I'm very happy about that. Here are the accessories that come with the Bone Collector. We have some extra hands. Looks like a left weapon holding hand and a left more tightly gripping hand. The more loosely gripping hands are still on the figure, the hands with the trigger fingers. And a right holding hand. And a left fist. And a right fist. and more tightly gripping right hand. So all of these have these pegs that go into the wrists. They do have joints, although they are pretty tight. But these pegs look thick. I don't know if they're quite thick enough, but thicker than some others. So hopefully these will be sturdier and they won't break. We also have an action figure stand here with 4 pegs to plug in the heels of the feet, and very nicely done skull mask. Very nicely done, and it does fit nicely on the head so that the eyes do show through the eye holes here. Very sharp fangs there, nicely sculpted and painted. So it's a stiff plastic. It looks very nice. And a couple of extra ammunition clips that were attached to the action figure in the package. And this one was in the gun, in the tray, action figure tray, so it just plugs in here. Very nicely sculpted machine gun. It looks like a grenade launcher, and a trigger for the grenade launcher. There's a hole there at the end of the grenade launcher and at the end of the gun part, so we can put in blast effects. So very nicely sculpted, lots of details. Kind of a stiff, harder plastic, so it's not pliable. I'm not going to try to bend it. And a very thin part here, so I hope it's sturdy enough to handle being put in the hands of the action figure. Here's a nice knife, lots of little details, little tiny holes there, and if we catch the light just right, it does reflect off of the edge there, so it looks kind of sharp. Actually, if we push hard enough, I think we could break the skin, so we should be careful. And then very nicely sculpted handgun, painted, hole at the end for blast effects. So it looks very nice, nice shiny paint there. So a lot of nice accessories with this action figure. Here is the Bone Collector in his skull mask next to a pair of 4-inch action figures. On the right is an adventurer from an Animal Planet set I reviewed a while ago. On the left is the Fortnite Jonesy action figure by Jazzwares. Here is the Bone Collector in his skull mask next to a 6-inch action figure. On the left, the Fortnite Legendary Series Havoc action figure by Jazzwares, and a 7-inch action figure on the right, the Masters of the Universe Masterverse He-Man action figure by Mattel. And I think the Bone Collector is just a very scary looking guy. Even He-Man would be afraid of him. The Bone Collector from the Valaverse Action Force line is a very nice action figure. It looks very good, and it has some nice accessories. I do like this machine gun here with this extra grenade launcher part, and that would be what this holding hand is used for, to hold this lower part while the trigger hand is pulling the trigger here. Although I have not tried switching the hands yet, I think before I switch the hands I will definitely heat it up to make sure nothing breaks. But the action figure itself looks very nice. I like the design, and this particular one, all of the joints worked for me properly. Although the knees were very, very stiff, I used the hair dryer to see if that would make it more pliable and feel less stiff, but that didn't work very much. It just takes a little time and patience. So I do like all the accessories. The trigger fingers, I think, are a nice extra little detail. However, it does take a little bit of work to put the weapons in the hands. With that little thin plastic piece, I'm afraid the trigger fingers are going to break eventually, trying to put the guns in the hands and put the fingers in the trigger part. So we just have to look out for that and be patient while we're putting things together. This mask is very, very cool. I like the mask design, and I like how it sits on the head just right so we can see the eyes through the eye holes of the mask. So all in all, this is a very impressive action figure with a couple minor difficulties, but so far nothing has broken. As long as we are gentle and careful, it should last a very long time. Thank you for watching my review video. Remember to like the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think of this action figure, and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my future reviews. I'll see you next time, action figure fans.